So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luis Padilla. I'm going to be the main host, and joining alongside me is my co-host, Patrick McSorley.
Hey, you guys doing today?
How's it going, Patrick?
On behalf of our group, we are here to launch the Sport Industry Outlook webinar presented by the University of North Florida Sports Management Seniors. Our panelists today were all products of the UNF Sport Management program, and their names are Aaron Carn, Brian Lobator, Santiago Cubillos, and RJ Vojnovski. Am I saying that right?
You're close. It's Vanossky.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not as bad as it looks, I promise.
They will share their knowledge and experiences regarding issues the sport industry is dealing with. I want to welcome our group of panelists. How are you all doing today?
Doing great.
Well, thank you.
Doing good, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I cannot thank you guys enough for your time, and we're looking forward to everything you have to offer. First, let's start by having each panelist introduce themselves. And one way I want to do this is, since Aaron is the eldest, I want him to start. Any conversation, any question that I ask that is open for everyone, or the panelists. I want Aaron to go first, and then from there, just Ryan go next, Santiago go next, and then RJ.
Sounds good.
Okay. Just to keep everything in order. So yeah, if you guys could just introduce yourselves and just tell us about your sport industry experiences.
Hi there, Aaron Carn. I'm class of 2005 with sport management, and for the past several years, I worked in education and athletics in St. Johns County. I was coach and in the athletic department. I also recently transitioned into kind of what I actually probably went to school for, and that's like event management and whatnot. Now I work with a company called Party Shack. We provide mobile hospitality units to be used at sports venues, concerts, festivals, etc. So yeah, probably a good 12 plus years in the sports industry, and always learning and moving forward.
Cool. Ryan Lobato here, class of 2014. I was a little bit older when I went back to UNF to get my sport management degree, and so I kind of transferred from a hospitality background. And while I was at UNF, I did a couple internships, one with the UNF marketing department, one with the Gator Bowl Association. That was the 2014 Gator Bowl, I believe. And then I also did an internship in Plymouth, which I actually noticed one of my colleagues here did the same internship a few years later.
That's right.
So cool, because at the time it was not many people were taking advantage of that. So it's really good to hear that other people jumped on board, because that was really like a life-changing experience and kind of put me in the communications field, which I immediately turned into an internship with the Jacksonville Armada as they were first kind of coming to be before they were ever even actually a team. And then I got hired on there, spent 3 years with the Armada, and moved on. And now I work with the Ironman group, who puts on the iconic Ironman triathlons. You guys have probably either seen on the NBC Sports Network every October, or at least heard of, because they're like grueling and obnoxious nature for endurance athletes. So we put on over 230 events currently across 55 countries. That's probably going to change due to the COVID situation going on, but I focus on communications and public relations for the entire North American sector of all our races. So again, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Ryan. My name is Santiago, class of 2013. During my time at UNF, I did a little bit of everything. I coached youth soccer. Dr. Sweeney, her daughter was out on the fields, and we would cross paths from time to time. But aside from that, I also worked with the men's soccer team. I was an equipment manager for them for a year, and just kind of did whatever was available on campus in terms of volunteer opportunities. That eventually led me to apply for the study abroad program, which Ryan did, and spent some time in Plymouth, did communications, also got to see kind of how their academy system worked, etc. And then for my senior year, my internship I did with the Philadelphia Union, which is a major league soccer team. And I did front office administrative work. I did social media, grassroots marketing, a little bit of everything. And then that ultimately led me to work for Major League Soccer. I did a training program out in Minnesota at their sales center. And then that position allowed me to go down to Houston, Texas, where I worked for the Houston Dynamo for a few months. And my director at the time, Sean McIntosh, had worked in the NBA for the Phoenix Suns and is now in charge of the staff for the Las Vegas Aces in the WNBA. He took on that job at MGM and had offered me a position to go out to Vegas with him. However, I was really passionate about soccer and wanted to continue to grow there, which actually led me to, in one of my outreaches to the community, talk with Soccer Shots Houston. Soccer Shots is a national franchise. There's about 150 locations nationwide. Houston at this time is still like the largest franchise in the United States. They currently serve anywhere from 36,000 to 40,000 kids a year, which is about 8,000 to 9,000 kids throughout a season. And with them, I was a program coordinator, so I did a little bit of everything from answering emails, phone calls, handling contracts, scheduling with the coaching staff, etc. And then that position allowed me to transfer here back home. I lived in Orlando for many years and currently I'm the program director for the Orlando franchise here. A lot of the same responsibilities that I had in Houston. The only difference now is that I hire on our staff and do a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. But just super excited to be here, sharing my experience with all you guys. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, I believe I'm up next. I'm RJ Vanossky. I graduated from UNF in 2011. Also, if you hear any background noise, I apologize. I'm having some roof work done, so if it gets too loud, just let me know. But after graduating from UNF, I worked for a marketing agency called Paragon Marketing Group based out of Chicago. And I had probably one of the more unorthodox jobs out of college where I essentially traveled across the PGA Tour working for a client. That client was Nature Valley. And I would say the best way to describe my first role out of college is, if you know the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile that you'll see traveling all around the country, think of that, but for granola bars, where I drove in like a SUV all over the country from tournament to tournament, doing activations for Nature Valley on the tour. Extremely fun gig right out of school, and definitely a way I would say to think out of the box when you're thinking of getting your foot in the door in the sports industry. But after that role ended, I took a little more of a office role where I started working at Fanatics, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, fanatics.com. I took a role with them as a copywriter in 2013 and have been with them ever since, just kind of taking on various roles on our marketing team. I worked on our social media team. I've done email and database marketing, all centered around building marketing strategy for all these different marketing channels. And just recently, about a year and a half ago, I transitioned over to our loyalty and rewards team. And under that umbrella, I still help do the day-to-day marketing strategy for our rewards program, but we also launched a new initiative called Fanatics Presents, where we host various events all over the country with various different professional athletes that we have under our contract and under the Fanatics umbrella, where we host Q&As with these athletes. We'll do private meet and greets with these athletes, and my team essentially handles all of the strategy and marketing for that program as well. Obviously, and we'll get into this, I'm sure in the discussion with COVID, that's kind of put a damper on things. That's been put on pause, but another cool initiative that I've been working on very closely that we launched a few months ago is called the All In Challenge. And I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen that on social media at all, but Mark Rubin, who is the owner or chairman of Fanatics, who's also the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, put together in less than a month this huge initiative called the All In Challenge, where essentially all of these major athletes, major celebrities, anyone you can think of who's like a A-list athlete or celebrity, are donating these amazing once-in-a-lifetime experiences where you can essentially go to Fanatics and donate as much as $10 to however much you'd like to donate. for a chance to win these experiences, and all the money towards this experience is going towards helping feed the hungry during these difficult times. So my team has essentially been behind the scenes working with the talent, getting everything up on the site. It's been a huge project that I'm very, very passionate about. We're also going to help, once, we get out of this crazy time that we're in now, helping actually fulfill some of these experiences and helping capture some of that content. So I would definitely, if you get a chance to check it out, it's on our homepage. It's been a pretty passionate thing of mine. So that's currently where I'm at. I currently have, you could say I wear several different hats within the Fanatics organization, but I definitely staying busy, which is always a good thing. So.
All right. Thank you so much for all the panelists for introducing themselves, and thank you again for being here. Our team has came up with a list of questions to ask our panelists, but anyone else in the audience can leave a question in the chat box, and we'll get to them in our Q&A part of this webinar. We'll answer as many questions as possible. First question for the panelists. So you guys were all in our shoes at one point. What was the biggest difficulty and adjustment you all had regarding getting into the sporting industry? And this is for everyone to answer.
I guess I can go first again here. I see it today, at least even with young people that I have, trying to get into the sports industry is, it's kind of an old adage, but it's very competitive. There's a million people who want to work in sports because they think it's really cool and fun. And so that's probably the biggest challenge I think I see for young people is just trying to get their foot in the door. How are you going to do it? My advice to you guys would be the one that stands out, the first one in, last one out. Volunteer every opportunity you can, and probably most importantly, make network connections. You never know when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I met you when you were doing that one event or at this one, sporting, event there." And we don't know when you'll come across the path of somebody who says, "Yeah, I remember you, and there's a job opening." So I think that's probably the biggest struggle that I remember having, is that everybody was going for positions with the Jaguars or whatever. And I never got into it, which kind of my fallback was education. And that's how I kind of got into coaching and stuff, is it didn't work out the first go round trying to do what I first had in mind.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Aaron on all those points. Just breaking in is always like the part, just getting that one opportunity. And that one opportunity, once you do get it, just be willing to go the extra mile, earn the respect of your colleagues, show that you're a hard worker and that you're willing to do whatever it takes. Because like he said, sports is a very romantic job. You're watching it from the sidelines or watching on the other side of the TV, you're like, I want to do that. Well, it's a lot of work. I've had some really cool opportunities. I've worked the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii the past 3 years, and it's amazing, but I'll be honest, it's also the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It is so much work, but just the mere fact that I'm willing to take on that work and give it everything I've got. And that's really what got me the other opportunities. I would say create value for yourself as you get these opportunities and you're showcasing yourself, trying to get other opportunities, and be a modest self-promoter. And I say modest, nobody wants somebody walking around that acts like they're better than anybody. But at the same time, you really need to promote yourself. You need to show that you bring value to any organization. So do that as much as possible and do it as modestly as you possibly can.
Yeah, I think one thing to really keep in mind is just to be open to any opportunities that are out there. Don't limit yourself just because, let's say, you want to get into NFL, that you're only looking at NFL opportunities. Be open to what is available, especially during these times where things are limited, whether it's things in your community, youth organizations, whatever is available out there. Just get in there, get your foot in the door, whatever it is. You never know who you're going to meet throughout your process. Or the experience that you're going to gain through it. So just always keep an open mind as to things that you're looking for. And also another thing just to keep in mind is just don't get discouraged. There were a lot of positions that I would apply to 40, 50 different positions around the country. And it was a constant no, 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 no. And that can wear you down over time. But if you keep a positive mindset and just continue to push forward and whatever it is that you're looking to attain, that's going to open up a door one day or another. And you just got to keep moving forward. And a lot of times when we're searching for a job, we kind of stay stagnant. We're like, okay, I'm going to wait till something happens. If another opportunity, maybe it's not that opportunity that you're looking for, but just another opportunity comes to the table, take it. You don't know what that opportunity will lead to later on, because anything in the sports industry, they're asking for experience or what's going to make you stand out. And if you're just sitting at home not doing anything, that's not really going to change what's on your resume, right? So whatever experience in whatever field it is, even outside of sports, even if it's doing something else that you know that will be a benefit for you later on, just be open and have that mindset to do whatever's available out there.
Yeah, just to echo everyone else's sentiments, I couldn't agree more. I think for me, you know, networking and interning as much as possible is my biggest advice I would give to everyone. Is always take an opportunity to take an internship when you can. And don't worry about any, you know, if it pays or if it doesn't pay, just because the sports industry, we're all very passionate about it, but it's a grind for sure. So, you know, you got to be willing to start somewhere and just keep grinding away till, you know, when I started at Fanatics, I started off as a copywriter, and it wasn't the most exciting work in the world, but I knew if I busted my butt, you know, opportunities would arise. So yeah, you know, I think my junior year when I was at UNF, I started interning. I just sent out my resume to as many people as possible to see who would bite. And as soon as people started to respond, I jumped right on it. So I think getting your name out there is very critical, and, you know, just be willing to make some sacrifices, and it'll pay off if you do that for sure.
Yeah, that's very valuable information. I really appreciate, you know, the answers you guys gave us. So the next question is going to be, again, for everyone to answer, all panelists. I know a lot has changed in the past 4 months with the closing of many sport leagues due to COVID-19, but we are starting to see a positive shift in the reopening of leagues and many sport industry jobs. What advice would you give to a graduating senior who's seeking, you know, new opportunities in this pandemic? How's it going to affect us? And also, what could we be doing in the meantime?
Well, I'll admit this is going to be probably the toughest time for you guys, and kind of piggybacking it on the previous question there, be willing to do anything right now. You never know what's going to happen. More than anything, this is going to be as much, if not more, competitive time. People are getting let go. I see it across my own LinkedIn right now about people saying, hey, it's been a great 10 years at this job, and you know, want to thank this company, you know, and they're moving on from people. So right now it's going to be difficult, and I would just echo kind of what I said before, is continue to volunteer, to step in, try to fill a role somehow for a company, show your value. To be honest, you know, again, go back to that previous question. I had spent 10 plus years in education, coaching, and athletic department and stuff like that. And I knew I just didn't want to do it for the long run. I wanted to get out of it. And how I got in touch with Party Shack is I was volunteering over my summer break to do some work with a company, local company, doing event management. And that's how I came into contact with Party Shack. Reached back out to them months later, and here I am in a new position and new role. So even at 30 something years old, you're not going to be, don't take shame in volunteering your time and just making the right connections. I would say more than anything at this point, reach out to people, make a connection, and because this will pass, and there will be opportunities in the future. Just right now, you can't sit on your hands and not make any connections or network.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. I mean, it's really important. Networking is key to our jobs in general, but it's extremely important right now. Really, another thing you can be doing is building your skill sets. Take the stuff you're good at and improve it, and then work on your weaknesses. If, for example, I think I'm a good writer, but that doesn't mean that I can't become a better writer. There's always tons of free tools. There's seminars. There's all sorts of stuff that you can be looking into. I mean, take advantage of what's out there, and then at the same time, if there's stuff you think you're not too good at, see how you can improve on that. I mean, there's all sorts of tools out there, free tools that you can use to improve those. But ultimately, like you said, it's networking, and networking in our industry is so important. Every single job I've gotten in sports was because I knew somebody. I was actually laid off from the Armada, but it only took me a couple weeks, and one of my colleagues had gotten a job down here in Tampa and recommended me, and next thing you know, I had the job. And the same goes for other opportunities that I've had. And so it's really important to just build that network, because that's really sports industry. It's just a small world and a huge place. And as we continue to endure this, it's going to evolve, and more opportunities will come out of it, different opportunities. Sports industry is not going to go under, that's for sure, but it is definitely going to be different. And that being said, different means more opportunities in different places doing different stuff. So stay optimistic. Don't let it get you down, and stay busy. Improve yourself constantly.
Yeah, I think another important thing to think about right now is that there's a lot of people in the sports industry that currently aren't doing anything. So this is a perfect time to send those personal LinkedIn messages, connect with different people around the country, because they have the time to sit down and talk with you. You'd be surprised, no matter what position people are in, how open and willing to help they are, especially young people looking to get into the industry. So don't be afraid to reach out to the big heads around the league or around the country, because most of the time they're going to be open to talking to you, and they might even have an opportunity after having a conversation with you. And just continue your learning. Just because you graduate doesn't mean that your learning has to stop there. Learn new trades. Right now we're kind of in a digital realm, and learning a lot of different things of how we can use web meetings, etc. Become proficient in different skill sets like that. That's going to set you apart when there's other positions out there.
Did we lose them?
Can I, while we wait, hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
Can we
hear
hear
you.
While we wait for Santiago to see if he can jump back in, I just want to follow up to what Ryan said and just thank Ryan, because you just brought some value. The students who are on the call are presenting and who are taking my class just finished a LinkedIn learning professional development called Writing in Plain Language. So thanks, Ryan, for backing up my rationale for having them complete that.
Writing is so important, guys. I can't tell you, like, it's one of those skills that seems to be falling off on the back end, but it's always important, no matter what industry you're in. But it's an important skill that you can always improve on. So
Yeah, and I would just echo Santiago before he jumped off, that this is a great time to learn other skill sets that a lot of these professional teams, companies that are revolved around sports, it's all very data-driven type of stuff now that they're going off of. Like specifically at Fanatics, we're a very data-driven company, and there's various different programs you can use. For instance, all social media campaigns are all data-driven. There's various tools that you can learn that'll really set you apart, and a lot of this stuff is free to learn. A lot of them have YouTube tutorials that you can take for free, and it's just a great way to add to your resume. Like I specifically work out of a program called SQL that we use to pull, who's the top selling jersey in the MLB, who's the top selling player in the NFL, and then a lot of that type of stuff dictates how we market to our customers. So this is a great time to learn various different online tools that you can use that'll really set yourself apart. So don't get discouraged. Use this as an opportunity to just keep building your skill set, because it's all out there and it's all free to learn. So I would definitely encourage to learn as much as you can in the digital realm, for sure.
I apologize, guys. I'm not sure. I just got randomly disconnected.
I think we're good. I think everybody answered that question unless anybody has any follow-ups.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I just got randomly disconnected, but yeah.
I would say just
All
another
right, well,
thing that I noticed too, real quick, as far as, you guys keep saying continue learning, continue learning. I've already done like 3 courses so far for certificates for, I did a hospitality one, a sports administration one, and one I'm working on right now is social media marketing, and I found a great website called Coursera, and it's got a lot of classes that are either free to take, and then you could pay for your certificate in those particular things, but a lot of them are free to take, and they're pretty good, pretty solid. And I just add that to my, little wall of certificates, a little notch in the belt there, if you will. So there is a lot of stuff, like while we're sitting here doing, not much of, I mean, we're still busy, but a little less busy than normal, but with a little extra time on your hands, you can knock some extra education in there. So.
yeah, Dr. Sweeney has done, a good job of, tasking us with different assignments, on LinkedIn, and different certifications that we can get. So, it's been valuable, at least for myself. So, the next question I'm gonna ask for all of you guys, it might be a little odd, but I say this with a lot of respect to all the victims of COVID-19, but are there any good that we can take out of this pandemic? Any silver linings?
I can start again. My company specifically, Party Check, we are pretty much a company that was there to supplement sporting events, concerts, et cetera, et cetera. And we bring in these portable hospitality units. We create pop-up venues. And immediately when this whole thing went down, it was almost like a gut punch. Everybody was just like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And it was very frustrating for a while, almost like, yeah, you feel bad for yourself. We don't have anything to do. What could, and then now we started to game plan a little bit. And what's funny is coming out of the pandemic, we've been in touch now with the PGA Tour, and they've straight up told us the top leadership at the PGA Tour says, we're not doing those chalets with 300 people inside them anymore. We are specifically going smaller, more intimate settings that can be, more social distanced, and we love your product. We started kind of looking at ways that we can take that and sell other properties on. So again, we're back into talks with the Jaguars, PGA Tour, NASCAR, et cetera, and everybody's intrigued by the smaller is better kind of thing, So I think the world of hurt for the big tent companies that they are probably trying to look at how are they going to adapt to it. So kind of what somebody said, I think maybe it was Ryan, that everybody's got to adapt in this environment right now, and we sort of discovered that, wow, without planning for COVID, our product is actually perfect for COVID. So it, in a sense, a silver lining. I think moving forward, a lot of people are going to be interested in the products that my company offers, just because of the size and the ability to have everything easily sanitized and such. So that's kind of a silver lining right there.
Yeah, I guess I'll go again. Yeah, I mean, same there. I think honestly, one of the silver linings is, like we've been saying over and over again, I mean, adapt. It's adapt or die, honestly. I mean, businesses can't afford not to adapt. And our endurance sports industry is the exact same thing. I mean, we can't hold events right now. I mean, we just can't. I mean, we even tried in Texas, and then it spiked up again. So we've really put a focus on our like virtual racing, which was something we had always wanted to begin with anyway. But obviously, the minute that all this stuff started happening, it was like the perfect opportunity to put all our energy into that and launch it. And it's been really successful. That being said, that opens up the door to new opportunities in the future. I don't know exactly what those opportunities are going to look like. I mean, maybe it's more marketing, maybe it's more an ops driven, operations, as far as like virtual race world, what those look like in the different communities. I mean, we'll have people drive out onto courses in Australia just to film them so that we can upload it with our partners at Ruvi to showcase these amazing courses that we have that nobody can use right now. So there's all sorts of new opportunities that are going to come, and how we evolve with the times and then bring in new people, new experiences. That's to be seen, but the silver lining really is there will be those opportunities, and hopefully those are going to be filled with like fresh young talent, like everybody that's coming out of these classes right now.
Yeah, me specifically working in youth sports here in Florida, there was a time where when school shut down, and my company, we worked directly with daycares, preschool centers, and parks. We were trying to figure out new ideas as to how we can still give our product out to kids and parents. And for us, the best way to do that was digitally. So we actually set up kind of like a green screen in our office where our coach would host an online session. And the parents, even though it was only 35 minutes long, just absolutely loved that, just because their kids had not been out on a soccer field for so long. And coming up with different ideas and opportunities like that. And then when we were able to go out into the field and go to parks, obviously with a lot more limits and new guidelines, et cetera, the excitement that parents had and the kids were to just get back out there. A lot of times, like when you watch the news, it's a lot of negative stuff going on around the country. But the reality is, like, people are looking at the positives and things, and just little things for parents. Just today, this morning, we had a camp start. We only have 7 kids in the camp just because we're trying to limit it to less than 10 children, et cetera. But the parents were so happy to be out there with their children. And the kids were so excited just to be outside playing for a little bit, which is for me a motivating factor just to continue to come up with new ideas to look forward as to what comes next in the near future. But once again, like everybody else is saying, just you got to keep that positive mindset and not kind of fall into this cloud of like, oh, things are only getting worse based on what the media keeps saying, which we are in a weird reality and things are difficult, but just got to keep looking at the positives moving forward.
Yeah, obviously for us at Fanatics as a company, when everything first began to shut down and all the sports leagues started to cancel their seasons, we were obviously all very nervous about what the future entailed, since I'm not sure if some of you are aware, but Fanatics also powers all the online stores for the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, all the professional league sites. We also run those sites as well. So it was definitely something we weren't prepared for, but you know, as everyone else has said, you just got to be agile and ready to pivot at a moment's notice. So we've actually been operating as a company, if you go to those sites, as we would during the holiday season. So we've been very promotional heavy during these last 2 months, which is something normally we would never do. But the silver lining is we've actually, as a company, we've been up year to year, which leads us to believe that there's still quite a demand for sports merchandise, even though sports aren't going on. And it also leads us to believe too, that when things do start to get a little bit back to normal, you see Major League Baseball slowly starting to come back. NBA looks like hopefully we'll get going again. That demand's going to be there, and it's going to be even stronger. So that's definitely exciting. That was exciting for us to see, you know, customers still coming to our site despite sports on pause. The other thing is it's allowed us to kind of think creatively as a company too. You know, I mentioned our company launched the All-In Challenge, which was a huge company-wide initiative. We launched over 400 sweepstakes and auctions across our site, it was insane how we were able to get all that up in a matter of basically 2 weeks. But it allowed us to learn some new functionalities that our tech team built that we never thought we could ever do in the first place. And it's going to help us in the future build new strategies that we didn't have prior to all this happening. For instance, you could go to our site and we could have a real-time auction where you could bid on maybe spend a day with Aaron Judge or win the home run bat from Aaron Judge from yesterday's game. So in a way, it's also allowed us to potentially create new revenue streams through the All-In Challenge, which is, a great thing for us. So there's been a lot of learnings over these last 2 months for me, for sure, and as a company. But, when you stay agile and you just keep thinking outside the box, you'll never know what could happen and what could turn out from it. So, and another big thing that I've been working on since sports has been on pause has allowed us to think of new ideas that we could potentially test into our website. So one project that I've been working on is we have a program called Fan Cash. So I would describe it like how a lot of other retailers have the rewards programs. Like Old Navy has a cash back that you can earn on merchandise, or Kohl's has Kohl's Bucks. So we have Fan Cash that you earn on each purchase that you make on Fanatics. So one thing that we're working on is directly depositing Fan Cash into customers' accounts in real time. So think of if you're a Red Sox fan and you win a huge game against the Yankees in the regular season, we'll have the ability to send you an email as soon as that game is over with the score of the game, and we'll slip in $10 of Fan Cash into your account, and the whole email will be personalized and tailorized towards you. So it's a very one-to-one message with that Fan Cash already in your account. So it's been a huge project that honestly, if any of this didn't have happened, we might not have had a chance to work on. So we're definitely thinking outside the box during these times. And, there's been, obviously this is something none of us have wanted, but there's definitely been some winning outcomes through a lot of this stuff that we've been working on during these times. So.
Yeah, so as you guys can see, a lot of negativity has came out of this COVID-19, but also there's been positive and, new ways of thinking outside the box, as the panelists have said. So I have another question for Ryan and Santiago. So let's say for someone who's in their first internship or, first job, what advice would you give someone who struggles to deal with negativity or adversity?
That's good. That's a good question. It goes back. I think we've all said it. RJ said it a couple times. You got to remain positive. I take negativity as constructive criticism or feedback because you're going to get it your entire career anyway. I struggle with this myself too. Nobody really wants to hear bad stuff, whether it's true or not, about yourself, but every time you hear that, it's an opportunity to reflect and then either make improvements or just learn from the overall situation. You're always building towards your next step. We're all here and have these jobs right now, but you never know what's going to be around the corner. So take that as a learning opportunity and turn it into a positive.
Yeah, I'll actually share a personal story from myself recently. Back in January, I made the decision that I wanted to apply to become a franchise owner under the Soccer Shot system. And at the time, it was such an exciting time. I was ready to go. I want to say 2 months into it, still good. Things had kind of started to come up, but nothing to scare me away. And then once COVID really started to hit, there was this big cloud over me. I was like, wow, I had spent all this time preparing to, start my own franchise and get this running. And now that's all been taken away. However, I also saw it as an opportunity for myself and really reflecting as to where I wanted to look moving forward. And instead of taking that negativity and just staying there, I just saw it as an opportunity to continue to grow in areas that I felt like I needed to work on more professionally and personally. And this is a time for a lot of reflection just on your own and things that you can improve on personally and professionally. And a lot of that goes just to networking with people who have been through so many different things. I mean, there's people in the industry, Aaron, I think, brought it up, who 10, 20, 30 years in the industry and it's completely gone. They don't have a job anymore. And a lot of them are still continuing to keep that positive mindset because they know that the best is yet to come moving forward. You look at people who had worked in the XFL, a lot of personal friends that I knew who had worked in the XFL, and that all went down the drain. All of them just kept a positive mindset. And every day when I'm checking LinkedIn, I keep seeing them in new opportunities, things that they probably would have never thought that they would have been in. But just because they kept moving forward and looking for those new opportunities, it came to the table. So I think regardless of what you're doing, whether you don't think that you're important to the company or you don't think that your work matters, everything that you do makes some sort of impact with whatever position, whatever it is that you're doing. And I think it's also important to not only volunteer in sports, but also just to give back to the community in any way that you can. There's a lot of different community organizations like food banks, etc., where if you're not doing anything at home, just go out there and use your time that way. Once again, you never know who you're going to come across and meet at these organizations. And it's also something that you can just put on your resume. Volunteering during a global pandemic at a food bank, it may not seem like a lot, but when you're going through job interviews, that's what made you do that? And it's just an opportunity for you to give back in the community, engage yourself with people that are in need, and just continue to have that positive mindset.
Thank you so much for those amazing advices, Ryan and Santiago. I'm going to be passing it over to my co-host, Patrick McSorley, who will ask questions from our audience.
So our first question is for RJ. And it's, what kind of events do you guys do at Fanatics? Is it more along the lines of marketing events or company sponsorship events? And the person asking the question said, when I get into the industry, I would love to work with events in and around the stadium. So I was interested in seeing what Fanatics has that an event manager or planner would be dealing with.
Sure. So if you want to see, if you get a chance, if you go on YouTube and type in Fanatics Presents, we have a whole stream of videos of what they look like. But essentially what our events are they're typically pretty high-end events. So it'll be typically maybe in like a ballroom or a theater setting. And we have exclusive deals with athletes across all the professional leagues. So Aaron Judge is an athlete that we have, Anthony Rizzo. Who else have we've done a few events with the Washington Capitals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. And part of when they sign a contract, a memorabilia contract with Fanatics, is they're tied into our events program that my team heads up. So the events are typically, it'll be, like I said, in a ballroom or theater setting, where we'll have a host who's usually a local, maybe the play-by-play guy for the team or someone locally that people recognize. And we'll do a whole Q&A session with these athletes where fans who actually purchase to go to these events get to actually send in their own questions to these athletes that you might not get a chance to hear their perspective on, in typical interview formats that they give during the regular season. So it's a very unique one-on-one type of personal event that we put together for these people. And we offer different, within the events program that we run, we offer different packages where you can attend the Q&A, where there's a dinner, like an open bar, a very formal type of setting. And then often people will actually pay even more money to actually go behind the scenes and do like a 10-minute meet and greet with the athlete where they get to take photos, they'll sign autographs. So that's typically the format that we've been running for these type of events. We've experimented with more like fan-friendly type of events, where we did one in New England with James White, who's the running back, where we did like a bowling type of event with him. But that didn't really seem to resonate very much when we tried to market that event, just because, athletes do those types of events all the time on their own. So the type of event that I explained earlier is, you're not going to really find very many events quite like that we put together. So that's typically, like I said, the format of how those events go. And sorry if I didn't catch the second part of the question.
The second part of the question was, basically just they were interested in like what they what someone who would be an event manager or planner would be dealing with as far as like putting on these events and stuff like that, and like from the aspects I'd say.
Yeah, well, I would say, you know, in terms of the event planning and, you know, sort of the logistics side of things, we actually have a separate team in our South Florida office, and they really handle all of the logistical side of things. So making sure the athlete gets there on time, making sure all the guests are accompanied for and they have everything they need. My team primarily handles marketing each of these events through all of our marketing channels and also capturing content at the events. But I will say, you know, and I'm sure Aaron can vouch for this, the event industry can be very chaotic at times, and I've seen it firsthand. If one little detail is left out or one little piece is left out, it can be sometimes a domino effect. So I will say working in the event industry is all about attention to detail, because if you leave one little detail out, it could cause a whole chaos of problems. But so my piece of advice for anyone who does want to get to the event industry is you got to be a go-getter, because there's a lot to it. But it is definitely, when you see the final piece all put together, it makes it all worth it, from my perspective. So, but happy to also, you know, if anyone has any more questions, feel free, you know, after we're finished here to shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to give some more tips and pointers. But I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. So I had a follow-up question for Santiago. You had mentioned having this like smaller youth camp going on. Post-pandemic, do you believe the new products like that you've created will continue to grow? As well as how do you think youth sports, like the youth sports landscape, specifically like soccer and travel soccer, will be affected by the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We're constantly looking at our numbers across the country. Houston, Texas as a whole, who was the largest operating franchise, had to cease all operations from a public standpoint. So they're currently not running anything in their public parks or school programs. So they're currently full digital. So everything is online. And although there are some parents who will shy away from that kind of stuff because they want that in-person experience, just to have that product available out there is an opportunity for us to, one, better the product itself, since we hadn't used it before on a smaller scale. And just speaking with franchising as a whole, they are looking to make that a permanent option in the future, so that even though we have this in-person camp going on right now, that digital option will still be available for parents, let's say, who aren't able to drive out their children to the classes, or kids who are not enrolled in preschool programs, just to have that product available out there for them. But I really think when things do start to slowly open up again, and we do look to kind of go back to somewhat of a new normal, that specifically in youth sports, parents want kids to get out of the house. They don't want them just being stuck at home all day. So they're eager to get out there. And like I said, when I went in this morning just to check in these few kids from the camp, the parents were super excited to be there. The kids were excited to be there. And this whole fear about COVID was not even present. I didn't receive any sort of questions or anything like that. I was wearing my mask, our coaching staff was wearing their mask, and parents are aware of what's going on, but that wasn't the main point of emphasis for them. They were just wanting their kids to have a great time in a safe way. So I think moving forward, we are looking to continue to better our options in terms of how can we be safer in terms of, you know, taking the precautions that are asked of us. But it's also looking at new opportunities on the digital side to continue to grow that side of things as well.
Thank you. That's a great answer. Another question from the audience is for everyone. How's your guys' day-to-day changed since the COVID-19 pandemic started? I'm sure, you know, each one of you guys has a different perspective, doing different things in the field. Just wondering how this pandemic's really affected what your day-to-day operations are like.
For me, it was very busy for us pre-pandemic, selling different concert venues, things like that, and gearing up for the fall sports. And it looked like fall was going to be crazy for us. It was very wild and exciting, and we were definitely going to be going full steam ahead into the fall. And then of course COVID starts hitting, and again, I think I've mentioned before, it was like a gut punch. It was just everything just kind of like got erased. So the day-to-day at first in the beginning was just like kind of like, what do we do? I don't know, how are we going to do this moving forward? And we kind of just kept at many of our clients, following up with them, making sure that we could help them out. If we could help them out in any way, we're here for you. Let's do this, that, and the other. And it was a bunch of no's. No, we were just waiting. And to a degree, it's still like that for us. No, we gotta wait. We gotta wait and see what happens. We'll see if this plays out. Now it kind of seemed like it was going in a good direction, and now we have the resurgence of it, and it seems like things are kind of maybe again being put on hold or whatnot. So that's kind of probably the biggest change for me, is just that it went from feverishly busy to now, I wait for people to respond back. And I just ask, what's going on? What can we do to help you? Currently trying to work with the Jaguars, as I said, and they're kind of not being responded right now. And I think they're just waiting to hear from the top, from the NFL, when they're gonna, how many fans are they really truly going to be allowed? I know the Jaguars made the 25% capacity, but I don't think anybody really truly knows. So that's kind of been the most frustrating part of my day-to-day, is just, reaching out to people and everybody saying, yeah, we don't really know. The only positive, as I previously mentioned as well, is that they are looking at our products in the future, though. Nothing probably till 2021, when fans come back. We want to see something smaller, and that's, so right now it's just kind of been a big pause button for me. So
Yeah, similar situation. I mean, I guess my primary job is to manage the 80 or so events that I'd be specifically responsible for every year, that happen annually, whether it be one of the full distance Ironmans or 70.3 Ironman or the Rock and Roll Marathon Series. I mean, just massive endurance events, and telling our athletes stories. We look through our registrations, see if athletes shared any of their stories with us, and pitch those to local media members. And then beyond that, just managing media in general, getting media to come out to the finish line and take pictures, get them to write stories about these athletes or the overall experience of the race, and really just hype up the overall event from like a few weeks to a few months before the race to immediately after the race. Just continue to talk about it. And I'll do that for like I said, like 80 events. I'll probably go to like 30 of them a year, and that all of a sudden just kind of came to a crashing halt. And instead of doing that, which is my favorite part of the races, is working these events, I'm all of a sudden now writing statements saying, unfortunately, we've canceled this event, and dealing with a completely different kind of media presence, where they really want to know why we're canceling these events. They're hypercritical of us. As we've said multiple times, it's a kind of negative media landscape right now. And so, I mean, it's been 4 months since we've been in the office, and I would say it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge not being able to do the traditional stuff, not being able to go to these events and actually work with some of these amazing people, and just see some of the coolest stuff you've ever seen in your life. But instead work on like communication, saying we canceled it, or preparing for what we hope will happen in the future. But that being said, it's kind of been a wake-up call. It's given us a chance to reassess some of our practices, look at some of the stuff that we've done and how we can maybe do it better or do it differently, be more effective and more positive in general in our communications to continue the brand. And we're probably going to lose a lot of these events. A lot of the communities that we host events either don't feel safe, or we just can't afford to. I mean, these communities invest in us to bring our events. San Antonio, I mean, they wanted us in San Antonio to put on a rock and roll marathon series and event, and no telling whether we'll be back there in the future or not. So how can we deliver the best product possible? I mean, that's really what we've done and really examined over the past few months is not only do we need to make it safe now, but how can we continue to deliver and even make it better than it was before when we are able to come back? And when we do that, it's going to be amazing. And there'll be tons of opportunity, like I said earlier. But staying positive and just, continuing to grind no matter what.
Gotcha. I hate to cut everybody off, but I know Dr. Sweeney said she had one question she wanted to jump in with and ask the panelists real quick.
Hey, Dr. Sweeney, I think you're on mute.
Loser?
Dang, I am. No, I was on mute. We just want to be respectful of everybody's time. We really appreciate you guys joining us. And so I did ask your facilitators to let me ask the last question. The seniors who are facilitating this and the seniors in my class this summer obviously aren't having a graduation ceremony. So I was just wondering if each of our alumni could give them only one piece of life advice in 15 seconds. What would you tell them? And I'll let Aaron, I mean, you've been going first all day and you're the
Oh man.
I'll let you go. Unless you want to think on it.
Yeah, you put me on the spot here. There you go. That's a one piece of life advice, right
Could be
there.
anything.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Anyone want to go? Jump in.
Yeah, let me think on it real quick.
I can jump in. I guess my little piece of advice, it wouldn't be, I can't put it all into one word, but I would say we're all here because we have a passion for sports and working in the sports industry as a career. So I would say my biggest piece of advice is to keep grinding, take any opportunity you can to get your foot in the door, never say no, be optimistic, and yeah, because if you're passionate about it and it's something you love, it'll most certainly pay off for you. As long as you stay optimistic and just follow your path that you see as success. And if you follow all the right steps and you keep a positive outlook on things, I guarantee you it'll certainly pay off. When I first graduated, and I'm gonna sound biased, but Dr. Sweeney was always my favorite professor. But when I graduated, I did not think in the wildest of dreams I'd be getting to be a part of some of these events that I'm doing now. But I knew, coming out of college, that I was willing to take anything and everything that I could that revolved around sports. And it just caused me to meet one person, and then I met another person, and it's just a domino effect. So just keep grinding. I promise you it'll pay off.
I think I can jump in now. I would say, and I think this was kind of already mentioned during the responses earlier, but be flexible and adaptable. I can tell you, speaking of I never knew Dr. Sweeney when I came through, but Dr. Kane, she could probably attest to this, that I was dead set that I was going to be a sports agent, and I was going to go represent athletes and do all that. And I was getting into sports law, took my LSATs and everything like that. And then it just kind of, at some point, I realized that probably isn't the path I'm going to take. And then I started doing some other things with, I did group sales internship in NASCAR, did some other event management things. And I really liked that, and started going in that direction. And the company that I work with kind of put me into doing something completely different through event management, more like weddings and stuff like that. And that ended up not being exactly what I wanted. And for, again, this is just years out of college, first couple of years, I finally found a passion in coaching and working with young athletes. And so I spent the last it's about 12 years now, 12 years in education, coaching, athletic department. And I knew eventually at that point that I was kind of getting a little burnt out there, and I wanted to go back and look into doing something else now that I had a little bit more comfort in my life, and stability. I wanted to go back into looking at, maybe what I initially got into it for. And I found something I really do love, with Party Shack and doing event management. So I would say, just at the end of the day, be flexible, be adaptable, be ready to change courses. You'll figure things out. They're not always, you got that, star you're shooting for. You might not quite make it to that, but you'll find something else that you'll be passionate about. So I think one of the biggest things in this industry is be flexible, be adaptable, still go for your goals, but be ready to change on a dime if need be, especially in this environment now.
Thank you, Aaron. Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, we've already said it, but never stop learning. Continue your education, keep going, and take every opportunity you can possibly get. But ultimately, we just want to welcome you guys to the Osprey family, because that's what we are. We're a giant family of sports management graduates kicking butt, moving our way through everything. So welcome to the extended family, and stay in touch with us. I mean, reach out to us if you need anything in the future.
Thanks, Ryan. Santiago?
Yes. So I want you guys to really reflect on the past few years that you spent at UNF. Be thankful for the opportunities that you had as being an Osprey and being a part of the UNF community. And one thing that you have to keep in mind as well is that if you can get through this, which is some of the toughest times in your life as we transition, into your career, you can get through anything that happens next. So anything that comes in your way, just know that you can continue to overcome that as long as you continue to have that positive mindset. I think everybody out there knows what you guys are going through, and just different ways in all different fields around the country. But continuing to have that positive mindset and wanting to make a difference in our community and things that you do, is going to get you further than your wildest dreams. And kind of like Ryan said, it is an honor to be an Osprey. When I was applying for college, I would have never expected to go to the University of North Florida. I actually never even toured the campus. I just went ahead and accepted and showed up on my orientation day. But by far, it's the best decision that I've ever made. So be super proud to be an Osprey. Welcome to the Osprey alumni family, and make a difference and continue to make UNF proud.
Thank you. And I will let Patrick finish up.
Well, again, I'd like to thank all of our alumni panelists. I think I can speak for everyone saying we're excited to be joining the alumni family of University of North Florida. We all look forward to joining the sports industry in whatever aspects we get to it to begin with, and work our way to our goals. I'd also like to thank all my fellow classmates who worked on this project with me. I think we all did a great job and came up with some great questions for our panelists. So we're wrapping up here, but I'd like to invite everyone to join some of our future panels that we'll have in the next couple of days. There'll be a lot of great advice we can gain from them. Please continue to support the UNF Sports Management Seniors with these webinars. Everyone continue to stay safe and healthy, and have a great day. Thank you guys again for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one last thing, guys.
Yep.
If anybody wants to connect with me, just send me a message on LinkedIn, a personal message, and I'd be happy to connect anytime, whether it's phone call, Zoom, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, same here. Networking, that's the best thing.
Definitely.
Aaron, I have one question. Haley didn't want to ask you, but I've seen the pictures, so I'm just going to ask you now. I was thinking to myself, we're all in the... I
did lose it, yes.
I was just wondering if we could repurpose these somehow for outdoor classrooms. Just keep that in mind. We're always adaptable, so
we
have some extras. We might need some.
Yeah, that's okay. Those are pretty cool. We actually have a contract with the Kennedy Space Center launch experience,
Oh,
and
cool.
we're making basically that kind of design right there, except it's going to have some slide outs like a big RV, and it's going to be all kind of classroom style seating. So it's going to be like a watch observation for launches with NASCAR. That project got put back to 2021, but that is a huge project, and the NASCAR Racing Experience also asked us for a similar design. So we are manufacturing. I think that was one of the questions I saw on a thing coming over was, you know, how are we adapting to the new normal and stuff like that. You know, one thing we're continuing to do is continue to develop new products that fit this new normal. So there's a couple right there, but we would love,
keep us in mind.
yeah, we would love to make some
Yeah.
cool things.